So you want to know why men want virgins? Okay. First of all, before we get into some of the references that you will find in the many scriptures, I want to give you a simple analogy to think about. When you want to buy something or get something, okay, let's use a car for example. When you want a car, you have options of getting a brand new car, okay, a second-hand car, and you could even go as far as saying or getting what we call a jalopy, right? So that's a term used for a car that is really knocked and used and bashed around and so forth. So when you think of the term virgin, if you asked anybody which car they would prefer out of the three, brand new car from the showroom, ordered, never been driven by anyone, never been used, and you think peace of mind, you think there's nothing wrong with it, it's going to last a long time, all the parts are going to be working. Now, if you don't buy a brand new car and you want to get a used car, the thing that most people will look for is mileage. How many miles has it done? How many owners has it had? How much work? Is there anything wrong with it? You know, has it got an MOT, which in the UK is a piece of paper that shows that the car has been looked at and it's in good condition? Or are the parts gonna need replacing? Now, when you start to look at that, and then the worst type, which is what I refer to as a jalopy, is one that is barely just functioning, able to maybe just start and get you from A to B. That analogy can be applied to the word virgin. Let's have a look when we search the word virgin, right, in Google. This is what comes up. It says, a virgin girl is commonly understood as a female who has never had sexual intercourse. Although definitions can vary by social, cultural, and personal beliefs, the term can also refer to a female who is unmarried, chaste, or inexperienced in a particular activity, right? The primary meaning is sexually a girl or woman who has not had sexual intercourse. The definition of what constitutes sexual intercourse can vary. In actual factual terms, it's really referring to the hymen of the vagina being broken. So we're going to take a look at why men would want a virgin for a wife or to marry. It's because by that definition, and applying it to my analogy of a brand new car, it's someone that's never really been tampered with or used by another man or male, and has not been able to exchange sexual fluids, etc. If we go to the Bible and we search, again, the King James Version of the Bible, I just search virgin, and that word occurs 34 times in 33 verses in the King James Version. From Genesis 24:16, it says, and the damsel was very fair to look upon, a virgin, neither had any man known her, and she went down to the well and filled her pitcher and came up. And again, if you carry on a bit further down, 24:43 says, behold, I stand by the well of water, and it shall come to pass that when the virgin cometh forth to draw water, and I say to her, give me, I pray thee, a little water. We go into Leviticus 21:3. And for his sister a virgin that is nigh unto him, which hath had no husband, or her may he be defiled. So it's about not being defiled, okay? Leviticus 21:14. A widow or a divorced woman, or profane, or an harlot, right? These shall he not take. So here you're being warned not to take a widow or a divorced woman or a harlot. The word harlot, also found in the books of Revelation, is relating to a prostitute, which the original spelling for the word queen is, right? So again, not to take someone who has been married before or who is a prostitute, but he shall take a virgin of his own people for what to wife. Deuteronomy 22:19. And they shall immerse him in 100 shekels of silver, and give them unto the father of the damsel, because he hath brought up an evil name upon a virgin of Israel, and she shall be his wife. He may not put her away all his days. And then it goes on. I'm just going to jump around because there are so many quotes, but the point is being made clear that, you know, you should take a virgin for a wife. So if we go to Isaiah 37:22, this is the word which the Lord hath spoken concerning him. The virgin, the daughter of Zion, hath despised thee and laughed thee to scorn. The daughter of Jerusalem hath shaken her head at thee. And if we go on, I'm going to see if I can go into more of the New Testament. So we can start with Matthew 1:23. And it says, behold, a virgin shall be with child, and shall bring forth a son, and they shall call his name Emmanuel, which being interpreted is God with us. So that quote is referring to the mother of Jesus, Mary, right? Because as you know, the story is told that Mary was a virgin. If you go to Luke 1:27, to a virgin espoused to a man whose name was Joseph, of the house of David, and the virgin's name was Mary. You see, so 1 Corinthians says 7:34. There is difference also between a wife and a virgin. The unmarried woman carrieth for the things of the Lord, that she may be holy both in body and in spirit. But she that is married carrieth for the things of the world, how she may please her husband. All right, so in the Quran, let's have a look at the Quran quickly. In the Quran, again, I search virgin, and we go to chapter 56, verse 36, and made them virgins. And if you keep going, again, 84 references come up. So it says here, his Lord may well replace you with better wives if the Prophet decides to divorce any of you, wives who are devoted to God, true believers, devout, who turn to him in repentance and worship him, given to fasting, whether previously married or virgins. And the Quran goes on to talk about your reward in heaven going to be maidens and virgins. Okay? Do your research, do the searches that I'm doing, and you will see for yourself. So when we talk about why do men want virgins for wives, it's because a virgin is seen to be the best example of a woman, because she has not yet been tampered with or exchanged bodily fluids. And in our Taraq genetic kiss by the master teacher, Pa Munzul Nathor Amun Nubeb Nubre Akpata. Yeah. Genetic kiss is scroll 109. And even without sexual intercourse, it's very important when we're dealing with exchanging fluids, right? Because fluids can come in many forms. One of them being a kiss. This is why the title of this scroll is called Genetic Kiss. Genetic obviously refers to genes or genetics, and how a simple mouth kiss, even though it's not sexual intercourse, is just as impactful in terms of exchanging bodily fluids. So genetic kiss reads, verse 1, to kiss or caress with your lips, even open your mouth, use your tongue and exchange saliva. Genetics, science dealing with hereditary, variation, reproduction related to a gene, the biological factors determining heredity. 3. The hereditary tendency of an organism is to transmit its own nature to its descendants. So there is much to one open mouth kiss, and even more to sexual exchange of bodily fluids. Because one of the things is today, a lot of young people are made fun of or are seen to be not normal if they try to maintain their virginity or, not get involved sexually or interact, with another male or female until a later age, because of social media and because of the internet and because of so much that young people are exposed to at a very early age. They don't know the ramifications of what goes on in terms of mixing fluids with other people. So people will get teased if they say, they want to wait till they're, married before they engage in sexual intercourse or sexual interactions. But it's a very good thing for young people to try and maintain and keep themselves as, clean as possible inside out. So there is much to one open mouth kiss, and even more to sexual exchange of bodily fluids. You are like all other 30 people's genes for 4 generations back. Even their zodiacal signs affect you. Okay, because when we talk about zodiac and talk about, people say my horoscope is this, and what we're dealing with is actually energies and personalities of different people that you're made up of or that you're combined with. So when you look at this diagram called generations, you see that you are at the top, right? And let's say this was a car. I'm using a lot of analogies relating to cars today. If you're a car or the driver in a car, that will be you at the top. And we can refer to the rest of these 4 levels as passengers in your car. And these 4 levels, 1, 2, 3, 4, are the combination of your ancestors going back 4 generations. Why 4? Well, 4 is where the genetics throwbacks and they manifest themselves in the 4th generation. So this is you at the top. And then the first level down is your mother and father. Your mother has the XX chromosome and your father has the XY. Then underneath them would be their mother and father. So your mother's mother and your mother's father with the XX and XY, and the same for your father's mother and father. These you would typically refer to as your grandparents. So these are your immediate parents. Underneath them, their parents, which are your grandparents. And then the 3rd generation down is all of those people's mother and fathers with the XXXY, as you see here on the 3rd level or the 3rd generation. And then the 4th generation would be their mothers and fathers. And if we were to count these, you'll have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, and 30. All right. But the thing is, you're physically here yourself. So you have to subtract yourself from this 30. And anyone else who is still alive, you have to subtract them. Because the rest of them going down 4 generations, the likelihood is that they've already translated or crossed over or transmuted. And so you're dealing with energy ultimately. So you are a combination of the energies that made them up and the period in time when they came to be, because everybody has something known as a 0 time reference. The 0 time reference is what makes you unique. Energetically, the alignments that took place at that exact moment with where you were located, the planetary bodies, all that energy field affects you in some way, shape or form. And not only your own, but every one of the people in the 4 generations. That's why when we mention that the Zodiac, of course, the word Zodiac is relating to the animal world, because when you see that diagram, you know, Pisces, Cancer, etc., these are pictorial diagrams relating to animals, like Cancer is a crab, etc., etc. That was in itself taken from the Dendera, okay, in ancient Egypt. And that's important because the elders used to map and watch alignment to make sure that when 2 people came together, they were compatible by way of their nature. So this is the Dendera map, where they get the word Zodiac from, which is relating to zoo because of animals in the zoo. So it was a science that our elders utilized so that they would know which 2 people or natures could come together to birth offspring or bring about offspring. We're going to look at a couple of references in our culture of Wu-Nuwaup. But yeah, so that's to say that it's important both genetically and in alignment with nature. Let's keep going. 6, when you kiss someone or exchange any bodily fluids, you are taking in the genetics of all 30 people and everything about each, good and bad, diseases, emotions, all of it, whole beings. 7, that's the reason why when you catch your mate with another person, what you think is hurt is in fact all the beings in your bloodline, genes crying out to your physical. You become physically sick, not to just cry, but even vomit, have stomach pain, need to relieve your bowels, get a headache, nosebleeds, become weak, and even sleepy. And this is normally because when you've exchanged fluids with somebody, especially if a male has exchanged bodily fluids with a female, because the female is an internal being, she takes everything inside of her, whereas the male is an external being. So we are responsible as male for ejaculating, but the woman, being a full being in terms of her matrix, she takes everything in. And the tie between the two of you is based on something known as the etheric cords, right? So you have an etheric cord, they have an etheric cord. Ethers deal with the energy or the subtle energies that we're composed of. Those two energies become intertwined. And so when you're with somebody for a very long time, that bond is even stronger. That's why when people break up, you get that butterflies in your stomach. It's like, you know, the umbilical cord that you have when you're attached to your mother during the time you're being grown in her womb. And she feeds you, she's basically responsible for you as the goddess creator. That gets cut when you're delivered, but you're still attached etherically. And when you are exchanging fluids with other partners, you kind of build the same bond. And the longer and the stronger the bond is, the more difficult it is when you separate or try to separate. So that's why you get that kind of feeling that your ancestors within you, you know, they're crying out, especially if you're really emotionally attached. So it says here, your inner voices crowd your mind. In some cases, they take over and people kill others or themselves. Some fight, others die from what is called a broken heart. Your inner beings wish this person's genes out of your body, out, his or her being, out and gone. That is the strange feeling you think is betrayal or cheating on you. And you outright lose control. It's the inner family all upset. It goes back to the 30 personalities in you of your ancestors. If you are a vegetarian and have been one for years, that is obviously you. 18. That is your conscious decision. So you can make a conscious decision to be a vegetarian. Then one day you smell a burger and you suddenly have this urge to eat this burger after being a vegetarian, say for 20 years. What is that? Where is that coming from? Well, one of your ancestors may have been a real carnivore, and after smelling the scent of the burger, which is in the air and goes in your nose, so you are actually intaking tiny bits of this burger, and it awakens someone who wants it. So when we look at this diagram, when I mentioned that you are in the driving seat, and I used the word ka, your spirit is referred to as the ka or ka'a in ancient Egypt in our language. And these are passengers. But depending on how much influence one of these people have over you, energetically, etherically, through the voices that you hear in your head, they can then try to come up to the top and take control of the car. And you then start making decisions based on them and what they have influenced you over. So the example we just gave is, say this person right down here, one of your ancestors, a male or female in the 4th generation, was the one that smelt the burger. If you respond to that urge, to that thought, and you succumb to it and you go and buy a burger, they can then move up because they're now influencing you more than the others. And so this can keep going. If you then continue to make that a habit, they will move up and can then become the person in the driver's seat. And this is how people are affected, because when your mind is not still and you're not able to control your emotions, it leads to ego. It leads to, when we say ego, that's energy on the go. And when we say emotions, we're saying energy in motion. Because remember that everything vibrates. The most tiniest particles vibrate, and you are smelling those, you're part of them, etherically, energetically. So you have to know to be aware of the thoughts you're getting. It could be any one of these ancestors. So when they influence you to do something you haven't done for 20 years, like you've been a vegetarian for 20 years, and so that person now, if you feed into that, they will wake up. So let's go to 22. Now, consciously, you are saying, I know I shouldn't eat that burger. I don't even like meat. But for some reason, I've been craving this burger since I smelt it the day before. Again, that is not you. Now, here's the clincher. If you give in to that personality who may have been number 30, let's say, now they have moved up one place on the ladder and are now number 29, 26. They actually have become stronger. And if you keep feeding number 30, who may have been a glutton, 27, which means it is not going to stop with food. It can turn into something and everything else if you do not get that personality under control. Looking at you from the outside, people may say, well, so and so changed. They used to be so this or that. Now they seem totally different. That is because the so and so you knew is now suppressed for whatever reason, and number 30 took over. So in essence, they are totally different because someone else is in the driver's seat. Does the body work off of heat or cold? The body works off of heat. To feed that fire, you must have fuel, which is the food you consume. This is why diet is so important and what we eat is so important, because you hear the phrase all the time, you are what you eat. People just take that as a phrase, but when you analyze what happens, you put things into your mouth, right, which you may believe is food. And what happens is the solids, you chew them to break them down so that they can travel through the digestive system. And it ultimately turns them into liquids. Now you have acids in your stomach and your blood. You have a small intestine and you have a big one. And what happens is it breaks the food down, takes the nutrients, right? The small intestine takes the nutrients, the ones that you need, and then the stuff that is not needed then gets broken down and travels down into feces, and then you eliminate that. So even though you may think that you hear the expression again that people say that your body is a temple, right? If your body is the temple, that means a temple is like a church or synagogue or somewhere that is supposed to be a house of God. So if you are that house of God and you are a God, you have an altar in the temple. And what you're basically doing is you're making offerings to yourself, because the food gets broken down and then the acids in your body burn the food. This is why you will give off a certain smell, because you're also porous. We are porous beings. That's why it's all about the energy. It's all about the tiniest amount of particles that make you up or hold you together. So yes, when you look at it that way, your body is a temple. You have a solar plexus which generates heat, because you take in oxygen, you give off carbon dioxide, that which is a residue of burning. So what you're doing is you're burning this food as fuel to keep you alive. Now, if you're constantly eating the wrong things or putting things into your body that are not nutritional for you or good for you, then all you're doing is just putting a lot of stress and on your digestive system. And this is why meat is the hardest to break down, and it takes a long time to process, and you get all kinds of ailments from taking in flesh which you're not designed for. But your body is your fuel, which is the food you consume. Your body is your own personal temple, and the fire is what burns the food inside. That same scent that your body gives off is what can attract a lion to want to eat you. Because again, animals have a high sense of smell. This is why, people that try to find and catch or take pictures of like the Bigfoot, these shaggy beings, they elude them because they can smell you from a mile away. There's a movie called World War Z. I recommend you watch that to see what I'm talking about, because we also have an animal nature. And when you feed that animal nature by way of like red meat and things that make you more aggressive or more into your reptilian nature, right? It enhances the animal nature within you. So in the movie, it's about the zombie apocalypse. And zombies, they're flesh eaters. They like to eat red meat and red blood and things like that. So when you're feeding that nature, your animal nature comes out. Anyway, it says that the scent that your body gives off is what can attract a lion to want to eat you, because you will start to smell like another animal. And you can look at the different races on the planet, and they will have a particular smell based on the amount of things that they consume. We have a part Taraq called Diagnosis of the Races, which is a very good one to show you how the foods that different races consume. All you have to do is look at the elder, generation in that race, and look at what they suffer with in terms of health problems. Is it diabetes? Is it heart, high blood pressure? You will correlate that to what they eat. So if you're eating a lot of oil, meat, starch, sugars, salt, these are all things that will affect and reflect in your health. The problem is people are forgetting that they are just another animal. Your body acts as the altar to a temple, and different beings are attracted by what is placed on your altar. So if you consume lots of blood or red meat, thus you will attract those type of beings as well. If you put lots of grains or plants on your altar, you will attract those type of beings as well. You are what you eat. If you are from India and you eat a lot of spicy and curry foods, your body will emit that scent. If you are Chinese, your body will smell like the food you consume. The same way a lion will attack someone because they smell the food that was put on your personal altar. And the smell or the smoke of the offering is permeating from your pores and is giving off a scent. The ancients understood this science, and is the reason the ancient Egyptians would remove the brains as well as the vital organs and place them in canopic jars. This way the body would be preserved by drying out and removing anything that would retain moisture for the purpose of Parnatharu to return and bring the deceased pharaoh back to life. The forces of six ether are attracted to rotten flesh because they want to enter the body and experience the physical again. The moisture is what the forces feed off of. This is the same reason the Tanum Kayu want to touch you all the time. They want to be up in your face, to talk to you, to breathe in your breath. They put their hands on key glands or pulse points of the body, such as the back of the neck, so they can reach the pulse behind the ears. Or with babies, they always touch the crown spot on the top of the baby's head or the temples. All right, so that's just to tie in with what's going on when you're exchanging body fluids. That scroll is genetic kiss. Again, I'm going to go to Lotus of Life because it's so important. In fact, before I go to Lotus of Life, let me just read something from the Golden Children part of that, which is this one. And it relates to two people coming together, right? So it's talking about the golden children, and it says, don't claim it or force it. And it says it started with females. This is from page 2, verse 12. Don't claim it or force it. It started with females who in turn gave birth to males. 14. So that these two would be drawn together to birth golden children, or Wahu Karad, one child. 15. Because a male and female has birthed one golden child does not by far mean all their offspring would be golden children. They are not Ladud, born in one place on the Kawak planet. Yet they all have, or each has to be activated by touch and tone by Parnabab Yanun. They are also called star children and are very gifted. 19. This is what is important. Many have been altered by Janas, sex, Vatal, food, Masak, music, habits, loss of their etheric link to the Akhaku, oversouls, who sent them here. 20. Smoking, drinking, lust, doing things to their bodies, tattoos, piercing tongues, and other body cutting and distortions, chemicals on skin, hair, bleached hair, and colored contacts. 21. Why, you may ask? Because the way the sun light touches them and affects their being inside and outside in. For you see, if your hair is khamem, black, in lawan color, it attracts the sun's rays. If you bleach or change par lawan, the color, to something lighter, as you know, the sun rays are deflected from bright or light colors. If you deform your body, the weight, speed, and time, the system is altered because the growth of new damam, blood, the cells, the whole system of rebirth in the physical body is changed by any and all alterations. This applies to the golden children as well. If not a star child, it does not matter. Yet if a golden child, it does matter. If it is already done, it can be corrected. Sleeping with the wrong humans also has an effect on golden children. 30. Not all Wu-Nuwaupians are golden children, yet all Shakasu people on this planet, regardless of Salau race, can be saved by them when the time comes and they are in Wu-Nuwaup. For each golden child born from 1973 AD to 2003 AD, at the exact same time of their birth, there was a fire child born the exact opposite in nature. All right. So what I was reading that is to say that the purpose of having a virgin or wanting to come together with a virgin is to really be prepared and produce golden children. And these golden children are special children with special gifts. So not only is mixing genetically with somebody going to affect you, it also means that you can bring about children who are opposite to golden children, who are known as fire children, and their purpose is to create chaos and havoc on the planet. So let me go to another part of that called Wu-Nuwaup, Commandments on Sexual Violations. I'll go from verse 7. You are deity in jasad, flesh. 8. You will be a deity once this flesh is dematerialized. 9. You are a girl becoming a Asha, female, at your first ovulation. A boy becoming a Ayash, male, at his first erection. 10. A female becomes a woman at her first orgasm. A male becomes a man at his first ejaculation. A woman becomes a mother with her first child. A man becomes a father with his first child. 11. The female is the divine seed of our race, as she holds the mitochondrial DNA. 12. These are your commandments to avoid the evil ones who seek to take your very soul and lead you into wickedness. For these things are wicked and must be opposed: fornication, adultery, and seduction, that which degrades motherhood, lies, disloyalty, and deceit, for they sever the divinity. 17. Unclean ways and lewd behavior and speech, for they corrupt the ka'ah, the spirit, and lead along the path of unwholesomeness. 18. Unclean and unhealthy intakes, for they cause the body disease, sickness, and illness of all kinds, which weakens the akal, mind, and distracts the soul. So by these commandments shall Nuwaupians live. All right. And I'm going to go to the Lotus of Life by Parnabab Yanun. And this is explaining how the male and the female coming together in the right way how it should take place and the reasons why. So I'll read from page 18, verse 40. Know this: left brain is male power, analytical, and right brain is Asha, female images. 41. These two must become one for perfection of thinking and doing. Nashat, energy, in motion, or emotional beings. Ba'a, soul. 42. This is the symbol of the braid worn on the left or right side by the holder of the double helix of the mitochondrial DNA of female or M other. When you look at the word mother, it's M other because of the M representing that mitochondrial DNA. Mother of us both. And the male wears his mijdal braid in the back to relate to the back of the medulla oblongata. Yet both mother and father, male and female, need to connect and use the frontal lobe of the brain and the nanas gatat pineal gland, like the pine cone to the evergreen. Okay, so this is showing you the braid for the female, or the mijdal, and the braid at the back of the head with the male. And the brain, both left and right side, need to work together as one. So a male needs to know these sciences, especially our young generation, so that they can come together with both male and female in their most purest form to produce offspring that's not going to be corrupted. And there's the picture showing you the pineal gland and the various different parts of the brain and how important the functional aspects of the brain are to work together with two people that are using their brain correctly. So Partner Babianun says, this is a part of my message to you. You have heard from above, and it is declared to you. Intellect does not become blinded by the brightness of Laben Nawar, white light, of Tablul, confusion, and Babal, chaos. There is no light inside your being. Light is blindness or faith, not intelligence or fact. Even the Bible and Quranic God dwell in darkness, Genesis 1:3, Psalms 18:9-12. Then said, let there be light. And with light came chaos. If you claim to have actual facts in Wu-Nuwaup, yet are not one mind, akal, one mind, you lie and do not live by the sawab, truth. Yet if you, Mashoi, walk in our way of life on the correct path as you claim, you are in Sayam Akal mind, divine mind, and linked to the Kalei Makhwan Act, omniverse, as a Karaj, child of Fatar al-Fatar, natural nature, Sayem Salat, divine rules. All right. And I'm going to read from our commandments, the 33 commandments of the Sabaeans regarding, the same topic of why you would want to have a virgin. So slate 1 says, Anuki Yake Anuki, I am who I am. 1. Kasus, honor my hara'u, parents. I honor my parents. I love my spouse, wife. Spouses, wives equally. 3. I regard my mukradu, children. 4. I respect my shakaku, siblings. 5. I cherish my muisar, family. 6. I appreciate my lol mustaku, friends. 7. I avoid wicked and evil mushkasu, people. I protect my muqdamu, elders. 9. I adore my muslafu, ancestors. Truth is truth. The slate I really want to go into is slate 2, which talks about marriage. It says, I cannot marry my harayu, parents. 2. I cannot marry my shakaku, siblings. 3. I cannot marry my mukradu, children. 4. I, as a Muswal, male people, man, physically and spiritually, cannot marry a man who is a man physically and spiritually. 5. I, as a Muswaltat, female people, woman, physically and spiritually, cannot marry a woman who is a woman physically and spiritually. 6. I, as a Mukman, human, cannot have any kind of sexual activity with Muhyat, animal, or Dubab, beast. 7. I, as a Muayash, male, can marry more than one spouse. 8. I can marry Mushkaktatu, sisters of the same Muisar family. 9. I can divorce from my Munshayatat spouse for good reason, only confirmed. 10. I can marry a Munshayatat spouse older or younger than myself within physical reason according to Fatir al-Fataru, natural nature's rules. This is the key now. 11. There is no such thing as a female physically being a virgin by natural nature. 12. Bathal lay, virginity is the state before any act of sexual contact is performed for the first time. 13. I will not rape or force anyone to have any kind of sexual contact. 14. I will not fornicate or commit adultery. 15. I will not abort a mukrad, child, intentionally. 16. I do not have boyfriends. 17. I do not have girlfriends. 18. I don't go on blind dates. 19. I can remarry once divorced. 20. I don't blame my mate for my lack of self-upkeep. 21. In a marriage, Salal, race does not matter as long as the partner accepts our Hadab culture. 22. A Muswaltat, female people, woman, is entitled to a proper wedding of her wishes. 23. Women are Vanastasu, feminine, and men are Rujul, masculine, in all ways, starting with outer and underdress and appearance. 24. Tanshu, marriage is a lifetime covenant, not a temporary contract. 25. Remember what you used to attract him or her, don't lose it. 26. Muswala, male people, man, have to look good as well, not just the Muswaltat, female people, women. Take care of your khatat, body. 27. Men, masculines, have to help raise the mukradu, children. 28. Don't have more than one munshaytat, wife, without seeking the approval of your first munshaytat, wife. 29. Don't have more munshaytatu, wives, than you can afford to support. 30. Men and women are equal in the makhlun, home. Do your part, men. 31. Muswaltatu, women are not slave workers for men. 32. Talk to know each other's inside, shayurat, feelings, before nashay, marriage. 33. Janas, sex, is not marar, love. I'll stop there. That's obviously, in our culture of Wu-Sabat, the best way to live. And as you've heard, to have a virgin, or why men want virgins, going back to the analogy of the car, is because you're going to have the best outcome in terms of what marriage is for, in terms of coming together. It's about offspring, and are you going to produce golden children? Are you going to work together in unison with the left and the right brain? Are you going to be able to support and take care of the obligations as per our commandments? And so it's not just about, go to heaven so you can be given many wives and virgins and as many concubines as you can support. It's about the future and the responsibility of us, coming together with the right mind, because mind is everything.